Welcome back to Lesson 2 of our study of the book of Joel. Hopefully you were able to watch Lesson 1 last week, and we'll pick up kind of where we left off. Chapter 1, if you have your Bibles, you can open to Joel chapter 1 with me, and we'll be reading some of that passage this morning. When you think of a locust plague, in most cases, you think about something that happened during the Bible times, during the biblical days. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but there's a massive locust plague going on right now in parts of Africa and Asia. And so it's not just a biblical day issue, it's a modern day issue. And that's one of the reasons why studying the scriptures is like studying what's happening today. What we do know is that what happened in Joel's day, it was shocking, it was severe, and it was worthy of everybody's full attention. It's almost like no one was aware of what was happening, and Joel felt like he was the one that had to wake them up. So begin reading with me there in Joel chapter 1 verse 2. He said, "Hear this, you elders, give ear, all inhabitants of the land. Has such a thing happened in your days or in the days of your fathers? Tell your children of it, and let your children tell their children and their children to another generation. What the cutting locust left, the swarming locust has eaten. What the swarming locust left, the hopping locust has eaten. And what the hopping locust left, the destroying locust has eaten." Quite honestly, when I began reading this, I didn't know there were so many locusts around, but this is talking about just a time of total devastation. And then he says in verse 5 there, "Awake, you drunkards, and weep, and wail, all you drinkers of wine, because of the sweet wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. For a nation has come up against my land, powerful and beyond number. Its teeth are lion's teeth, and its fangs of a lioness." And so we see the shocking nature of it here as Joel kind of lays it out, trying to get everybody's attention, trying to make sure everybody was aware of what was going on. The thing that you notice here is that everyone was affected in Joel's day. There was not a group that was better off than the other group. Everyone was affected. Kind of like our day today. In this pandemic, everybody's affected in some way. Even if you don't have the coronavirus, you're having to stay home, or you can't work, can't go to the places that you normally like to go. It reminds us of this, that followers of Jesus are not guaranteed protection from the various effects of sin in the world, including sicknesses and oppression and suffering and countless other difficulties in life. I kind of look at it in a very simplistic way. You may have already heard me say this in some other time, in some other way, but I believe that every crisis and every tragedy comes to us under God's complete control. I don't believe anything's ever out of control, because we believe that God is a God who is sovereign, that He is in complete control. So when they happen, we have to ask the question, why is this happening? Well, I believe for those who don't know the Lord, it's an opportunity for them to recognize their great need of Him. God is so clear about how much He loves all of us. John 3:16 reminds us of that. And for those of us who know Him, it's a reminder that we need Him all the time. Here's a statement I want you to kind of think about. We are not hopeless in a seemingly helpless situation. Now, let me say that one more time, that we are not hopeless, even when it seems to be hopeless, in a seemingly helpless situation. Some would say that this COVID-19 is just helpless. We don't know what to do. We don't have a cure yet. We don't have a vaccine. And if you're not careful, you could become somewhat hopeless. But as followers of Christ, we are not hopeless in any form or fashion. In fact, when you study the scriptures, you find over and over again these affirmations of God's presence with them. I want to share several of them with you. And so just listen to me as I read some of them. This one's from Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. He says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you." That phrase right there is something that should resonate with us. It goes throughout the entire scriptures. Let me share another one with you. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. "Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." It doesn't matter wherever you are. that God said, I will, just like he told Joshua, you're going into the promised land. Don't worry about it. It may seem like you're overwhelmed, but don't worry about it because I'm going to be right there with you. Over to Isaiah chapter 52 and verse 12. Isaiah says, for you shall not go out in haste, and you shall not go out in flight. For the Lord will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rear guard. Now think about that just a moment. God's with us. He goes before us, and he's our rear guard. Now that's a powerful image there. He's ahead of you, he's with you, and he's always watching you from behind as well. He's your rear guard. Let's switch over to the New Testament for the two last scriptures. John chapter 14, Jesus getting ready to leave his disciples, and he's fixing to head toward the crucifixion and his glorious resurrection. He says this, I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans, I will come to you. The power of the New Testament gospel is that not only is he ahead of us and with us and our rear guard, but he also lives literally inside of us. We are not hopeless in a seemingly helpless situation. And then right toward the end of the New Testament, Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5 says this, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Those words need to resonate inside of us during this pandemic that we're in the middle of right now. The Lord gives us all the grace and power we need to endure the trial that we're facing. And in doing so, we're going to grow stronger and closer to him, which is one of those amazing rewards that we'll look back on and say, it was worth it to understand God's presence and his power in the midst of all this. Thanks for joining me today as we have studied Joel.